Hey everyone. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to set up an Ansible Lab on Proxmox. We'll be using the same template that we created in episode 4. Let's get started. To start out, we need to create 3 VMs. We're going to use the template that we created in episode 4. We're going to right mouse click, go to clone. You can choose either 4 or linked, it's up to you. I'm going to choose linked. And then we're going to name 3 nodes: Ansible Controller, Ansible Managed Host 1, and Ansible Managed Host 2. I went ahead and added in my DHCP server the IP addresses. I suggest you do the same. Now, once they are deployed, I went ahead and also did this ahead of time and started the VMs. Now, once they've all started, we're going to SSH to each, to the controller. So, log in as root. Next, you need to make sure that your RHEL 9 is registered with Red Hat. Now you can accomplish this by the command subscription manager register, like this on screen. And when you do that, now this should be already registered. So as you can see, the system's already registered. If you're not though, it will prompt you for a username and password. That will be your dev license account that you created. Next, we want to make sure that we're subscribed to the correct repositories. And the command for that is subscription manager enable Ansible Automation Platform 2.4. I'll put this command in the description because it's kind of long. And then once you press enter, of course I should be already subscribed to this due to an earlier video that I showed you how to set this up. All right, so we've enabled the repository. Next, we're going to download Ansible and Ansible Navigator. And we're going to use DNF to do this. DNF install Ansible-Navigator, Ansible-automation-platform-common, and then Y for yes to accept. Again, this should already be installed on this host, but you'll get all the RPMs and then it will say finish complete. Okay, next is we need to configure Ansible Navigator. Now I'm going to show you the command. We'll get an error message, but it's Ansible-Navigator space config, and then we want to have the mode standard out. So -m, then stdout. All right, so let's take a look. As you can see, Ansible Navigator is trying to run, and it's trying to pull an image from registry.redhat.io, and of course trying to pull the latest of a execution environment supported RHEL 8. And as we can see down here, Podman's trying to pull it, but it's unable to log in. So you will need to log in once a day to the registry when you use this, unless you have your own registry. You can use different registries like Docker Hub. You can even use GitHub. You can upload containers and then use that as the registry. All right, so let me show you. Podman, login, and then we're just going to copy and paste up here, registry.redhat.io. Then it's going to ask you for a username. This is your Red Hat developer license that I showed you how to do in episode 1. Okay, yeah, try that again. Oh me. Okay, so we're logged in successfully. Now let's run that Ansible Navigator command again. We're going to press up on our keyboard so that way we can see the previous commands. All right, then we're going to press enter. Okay, as you can see now, when we run the config command, it's now downloading the registry. So this is actually downloading a cache copy onto your host. Now, Ansible Navigator is the actual tool that Red Hat created to help you develop playbooks. Now, why use Ansible Navigator, and why do we even deal with this execution environment stuff? Well, execution environments are containers. They're containers that have been built with specific requirements. As you know, or for those who've been admins for a little while or messed with Ansible in the past, you had to set up virtual environments, the right Python version, the right RPMs, the right binaries, all that stuff. Well, you don't have to do that, or at least worry about that like you did with Ansible Tower, because you're setting it up in the container itself. So yes, you do have to build a container. Yes, you do have to make sure Python's installed, make sure all the modules, anything like that you want inside it. However, it's much easier than dealing with Python virtual environments. That was kind of a headache to deal with as an administrator. I've been there. Execution environments, the only hurdle, in my opinion, is actually building the execution environment. But as you can see, Red Hat does give you at least a default execution environment. There's a minimal, EE-minimal, and an EE-supported. Okay, so now that we have Ansible Navigator configured, let's actually create a test playbook. All right, so this is going to be a very simple playbook. We're not going to do any SSH connections out because we still need to do some configuration, and I'll create another video for that. However, we'll just call this very simple. Let's make a directory called Ansible, and then we're going to create a file called debug.yml. And if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to type all the necessary syntax. The 3 dashes signify that this is a YAML document. Now let's name our play. All right. Tell it where to connect. Now by default, gather facts is turned off. Oh, sorry, turned on. It's true. I'm changing it to false because there's no reason to gather facts. And if you don't know what facts are, I'll explain that later in another video. Now we're at the tasks part. This is where we actually tell it what to do. The first part was a connection. The second part is what you want. All right, ansible.builtin.debug msg colon . All right, we're going to save that. Okay, now we're going to execute that playbook. So, but we're going to use it using Ansible Navigator. And I know a lot of you all might have used Ansible before and you've used Ansible Playbook. You can do that. However, Ansible Navigator, like I said, is the go-to way of debugging slash creating playbooks. And you'll see the strength of that in time. All right, so Ansible Navigator run standard out. Now, usually I would tell it the inventory, or at least create an inventory, but since we're running on localhost, we don't have to create an inventory, and you'll see it will give us a warning message. All right, and when it comes to the execution environment, there is a flag that you can use to tell it to pull if the execution environment is missing, or never pull. What we're going to do is just tell it to do to only pull if missing. Now, hopefully I got the syntax correct. Okay, great. So like I said, we did see a warning here because we don't have an inventory and we're only running this on localhost. But you do see here, this is at the very top where I had the slash or dash name, and then this is the actual message. If you see this, then the play was successful. All right, great. So at this point, we've set up a minimum Ansible lab. We still have a lot to do. We still need to set up like SSH. We need to create a super user because really we should be running Ansible not under root, but under the super user, but we need to run it through root first in order to create the accounts, set up sudo. All that I'm going to show you using Ansible and Ansible Navigator. But that's it for right now. Hopefully you liked the video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hit that button, like and subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.